Hi everyone, thanks for being here. I'm at home, as you can see, back from Germany, and I see the mentors here. Wonderfully Made is here, Justin is here, Tammy is here, Danielle is here. I'm glad to have some Dutch public also here in the live stream. By the way, can you all hear me clearly? Please let me know that first. Let me know in the live chat. Can you hear me clearly? Let me know that. And once you can hear me clearly, we'll start with the class of tonight, which will be about wandering spirits. So hold on. Let me know if you can hear me clearly. Thank you very much. Um, all right. So we're going to start with this Bible verse right over here. Jude chapter 6. Jude is just one letter. It doesn't have multiple chapters. In Jude, verse 6. Not chapter, but verse 6. And the angels, that's what angelic beings, who did not keep their position of authority, but abandoned their proper dwelling, these that's God, has kept in darkness, bound with everlasting change for the judgment on the great day. This does not mean that these angelic beings, who are now fallen angels, are in some dungeon kept. That's what some people believe. No, He has kept them in darkness, means simply God has handed them over to reprobation. And um, those everlasting change are the diseases that are haunting the fallen ones as well as their instability. All right, so demon spirits, evil spirits do not get along because they have everlasting change. You have diseases, afflictions, and civil unrest haunting them. Oh my God! Let me just put this to the King James version. I'm a bit allergic to those other Bible translations. And the ancients did not kept their first estate, that's a better translation, first estate, but left their own habitation, that's in the heavens, yet reserved in everlasting change under darkness until the judgment of the great day. All right? Now let's go to Genesis chapter 6. And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them. Of course, you're going to have daughters born because without daughters, you don't have grown women who can give birth to babies. So it simply says humankind, mankind spread all over the earth, which includes the earth became filled also with women. When this was going on, that the sons of God, Benai Elohim, refers to angelic beings. This refers to some of the angelic kings that I mentioned before, saw the daughters of men that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. And the Lord said, my spirit shall not always strive with men, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be on 120 years. So God decided to reduce the human lifespan to 120 years over time, which he did during the time of Moses. Since the time of Moses, our biologically capacity is still 120 years. After that, your genes are a mess. All right? Before the time of Moses, people tend to become like 200, 300 years old. It's not like that anymore. There were giants in earth in those days, and also after that. After what happened when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men which were of old, men of renown. So the sons of God did their nonsense, and they brought forth the giants, and the giants were also after that event on the earth. Okay, then you had the big flood and all of that. But just to point out to you, those sons of God and these angelic beings are the same men. You get me? Now, not all the fallen angels raped women on the earth in a metaphysical state. Not all of them did that. Okay? It was just the holy angelic kings that did it. Now, not all of them, but what a portion that fell. Now, in this live stream, I want to talk about wandering spirits. Okay? Now, what is a wandering spirit? A wandering spirit is a fallen angel that is tired of being around other fallen angels. Because as I mentioned before, the fallen ones, they have no peace, they have no rest, they have unrest all the time, and they're obsessed with weapons. So they're using weapons on one another on a regular basis. So that's not good company. The portion of the holy angelic kings that fell, which became the demonic overlords, they have to be protected by legionaries. So the demon overlords, the former holy angelic kings, they have legions to protect them against the masses of fallen angels, because or else they're under attack 24/7. It happens from time to time that a legionary demon gets fed up with being part of this drama, and they just want to withdraw from everyone else. They become antisocial and they just want to stay away. Now, Satan is still on their behind, but they still want to just stay away from everyone else. They can't just repent and be admitted back to heaven, but no, they're reprobate, won't do that. So, when the legionary demons, when the legionary demons are fed up with all the fighting that goes on in the paranormal, they realize, oh, oh damn it, this is what I have to endure forever now. We used to be joyful men in heaven, and now we're all always fighting each other with weapons. Oh, I'm done with this. So, when a legionary demon gets fed up, having to protect his overlord, he retires. He becomes a wandering spirit. He begins to wander around somewhere on the earth. Now, Nephilim spirits tend to wander around also, but Nephilim spirits are of a very low quality. Nephilim are those hybrids, some of those fallen ones brought forth by raping women and human women and female animals. So the sirens or mermaids came forth from Neptune raping some sea creatures. Now the Nephilim also are inherently immortal, but once their expires, they become completely useless. They're still around, but they're useless. The fallen ones still have some abilities they can use. But understand this: wandering spirits, there are many of them. They are antisocial demons that want to be left alone from other demons. They're fed up with their fellow demons. They can't stand those other demons always fighting and all of that. So, wandering spirits often go out armed. Because remember, demons love weapons. Weapons is something Gog and Magog invented. Gog and Magog are the two fallen angels who invented weaponry. Because before Gog and Magog came up with this idea to use tools against the fellow brothers, there was no such thing as weapons. Weapons is not something God invented. No, weaponry came from the fallen ones. It's their invention. They're proud of. The same with sodomy. Sodomy is something the fallen ones invented, and they tried to force it in the heavens by using spears to penetrate. They were kidnapping other angelic beings, wounding them by piercing them with spears in order to um, counterfeit sexual penetration that human males did with females. So sodomy has a very core and a violent origin, and it's with the fallen ones. This one, the reason why it became civil war in the heavens. That will force this sodomy thing in the heavens too. So now you know. Now you know where the whole idea of sex toys came from, because those fallen angelic beings, they have no sex shape and no sex organs. So when they want to counterfeit sexuality and they came up with this Sodom meeting, they had to use weapons as a substitute for a dick, which it didn't have. So now you know where this whole sex toy thing comes from, as for the fallen ones also. All right. So yes, the fallen ones are quite disturbing. So I won't spend too much time talking about their activities, but we need to address them. So wandering spirits are spirits, fallen angelic beings who want to just wander the earth. But can they just wander the earth like that? No, they can. They cannot. Because there are other demons wandering around also. Let's say you have a wandering spirit. Let's take, for example, Sasquatch, also known as Bigfoot. Sasquatch was an angelic being in the heavens. He joined the fallen angelic kings and Satan in their uprising. He stayed loyal to their side and he was banned from heaven. He joined one of the legions to protect one of the overlords. And he fought there for I don't know how long, maybe a few centuries, I don't know, because remember, they're all immortal. At some point, Sasquatch had enough and he just wanted to be left alone. Now, North America at that time, they don't have many people living there. There were indigenous people in North America living there that migrated there from Africa and some from Asia, but it wasn't an occupied continent yet. So Sasquatch, he fled to the mountainous area, which was called Stony Mountains by the British and later Rocky Mountains by the Americans. So that area that we call today the Rocky Mountains, that's where Sasquatch's fallen angel began to dwell around. He just began to wander around there. And from time to time, the indigenous people would notice him. They would spot him wandering around. But Sasquatch is completely deformed now. So when they saw him, he looked like this bear figure. It's just he's completely deformed now since he was cast out of heaven. So that's why anytime people go out there to look for Bigfoot, they can't find him because they think it's a physical animal they're going to find or some human animal hybrid. No. Sasquatch, or as they call him Bigfoot, is a wandering spirit. So you will never find him physically because he's a fallen angel roaming around. I don't even know why you want to find this creature. What can he tell you? What can he teach you? What can he contribute to you? Telling you how you rebelled against the Heavenly Father, how you was so dumb to choose one of those fallen angelic kings, and how he was so loyal in the legionaries, how he felt betrayed and began to wander around to be left alone. That's all I can do. Try to get your sympathy. So I know why people are looking for Sasquatch, but there's a whole economy in some place in the United States where people go to look for Bigfoot. You have restaurants named after this demon. You have programs named after him. You even had movies about this demon. Wow. A wandering spirit who's escaping all the time becomes famous amongst the human species. Really? Yes, that happens. And there were even Native American tribes who kind of worshipped this this coward. But anyway, now you know Sasquatch or Bigfoot is a wandering spirit. He just wanders around there. All right. Now let's talk about another wandering entity, the Wendigo. I spoke about this before, but I'm going through the most famous ones right now. Wendigo used to be an angelic being too. He's still an angelic being, but used to be a quite firm angelic being with a leading role in heaven. He got banned also because he sided with Satan for some reason, and eventually he turned on his own supporters because the leading angelic beings in the heavens they had a population supporting them naturally. This entity turned against his own supporters, and he turned on everyone, and eventually became so violent he began to roam around um, what they call the Great Lakes area. But at the time he decided to roam around there and leave everything behind, the place had no human inhabitation yet. It was just forest, animals, and the big lakes. Humans moved over there, began to live over there. Now, this fallen angel was so upset, so angry, he would look for fights with any other demon he would encounter. He would be ready to fight any demon he would encounter just to act out. But his thing, he could have repented. He could still repent and receive forgiveness and be redeemed. But no, he wouldn't. He's a reprobate. So he just want to blame everyone else. So Wendigo decide eventually came to turn his anger to the human beings. And from time to time, he would kill human beings around. He's still doing it till this day in what today call Canada and United States. But he doesn't dare to go where actual believers are. So this Wendigo creep, this fallen angel, should be stopped, and it's only believers that can stop him. But a lot of believers think Wendigo is just a folklore made up by Native Americans. It's not true. It's a fallen angel, a wandering spirit that roams around that area of the Great Lakes, around the St. Lawrence River also, and he feels entitled to kill some human beings from time to time because he's upset that he's in this fallen, rotten state. Well, maybe Wendigo, you should never fault against the Heavenly Father. Maybe you should give up your fairy tale to want to be a god, but anyway, F him. If you're a believer living in the Great Lakes area, please enforce repercussions on this Wendigo creature. Send fire on him, uh, trigger holy angelic guards to come down. Do whatever you have to do, please. So understand, those wandering spirits, they're upset, they're angry, but they won't take any responsibility nor any ownership of what they've done. That's what they are. Are there wandering spirits in Europe too? You have wandering spirits everywhere, but understand this. Wandering spirits want to wander in areas that are predictable. So a wandering spirit may not wander in a city because city can change. A wandering spirit doesn't want to face change because that reminds them that they're not changing, that they're only going to get worse and worse forever and ever. Now, in the United States, there are certain areas that have a lot of wandering spirits. Um, I want to go to Google Maps right now to get the map of the United States. So I can show you um, some of the places without contention. Oh, Rashid, how do you know all of this? Well, let me tell you. Wandering spirits are parasites. They system. They hate this, and that's over time they simply they are often assigned places to wander by pagans. Yes, there are pagan groups that assign territories to those wandering spirits, which is illegal because the earth is the Lord's, and the Lord or this designed human beings, us, multidimensional beings. Human beings are the only multidimensional creatures that exist. The earth is a union, and we are the union creatures, multidimensional, that have to live and dwell in the earth. That's what God wants. That's why God told Adam and Eve, multiply, fill the earth, and subdue the earth. That's what he did. So when those pagans assign territory to those wandering spirits, they're endangering other people. So, but first, I want to explain to you how the United States became so occupied with wandering spirits. I'm going to share my screen again, so hold on. I hope the computer remains proper, but hold on. Google Maps. Okay, let me know if you can see the map, please. Hold on. Can you see the map? I'll wait till I get some answer because I don't know for sure that. Okay, now let me go zoom out. 1600s, I mean late 1500s, early 1600s. A lot of believers from Scotland, England to North America. Why? Because in Europe there was a lot of oppression from the churches, not even the Catholic Church, but the Protestant churches. But here's the issue: there were also a lot of pagans that pretended to be, that faked being believers and went along with them. So when the Dutch came to this area over here, they settled around long black men from Santo Domingo with Portuguese. And after 20 years, the Dutch kicked him out, at least the Dutch government of Amsterdam. New Amsterdam was looked at all types occupied. But I just think they settled often around the Great Lakes over here. And you also had some big lakes over here in New York. What they did was um, they built those witch towns. They built little towns where witchcraft and black magic was openly practiced. Because in the Netherlands back then, you had such places where witchcraft and black magic could be open with the paranormal over there. Anywhere else in Europe, you were in big trouble if it caught you with black magic books or witchcraft manuals. But the Dutch pagans and the English pagans and Scottish, and they began to conduct sexual trauma on their own European settlers. And by doing that, all the trauma that they brought forth brought pollution, energetic pollution in the area here and there. And where there's energetic pollution, but due to human trauma, evil spirits tend to gather. So those pagans assigned locations for wandering spirits to wander around. So-called be good people to help out the wandering spirits. So that's why you have a lot of places in upstate New York that are haunted. It's because the Dutch and English, and also Scottish pagans who got there in the late 1500s, early 1600s. All right, can you hear me? Can you all hear me? Let me know. I don't understand why the audio keeps showing anytime I'm sharing a screen, but anyway. So what I just explained was that the it goes like this: the Dutch and English and Scottish pagans, they built villages, and those villages, they opened portals to trauma. Please restart your browser if you can't hear me clearly, because I've been to this before. I would open it on my own telephone at the same time, and it will play perfectly fine. All right. So that's why in the northwest of the United States you have so many wandering spirits. All right. Now California. In California, it was quite simple. The Spanish, the Spanish Empire had occupied all of this area over here, all the way to Alaska was Spanish territory. The Spanish in the late 18th century founded San Francisco and Los Angeles, and also many other towns over there. But the Spanish pagans and also the pagans from Mexico was also Spanish territory. They established a town for the angels, the fallen angels, which we would call Los Angeles. And they later built more of such portals. Those portals actually place where they conduct crime for the purpose of generating a negative climate. Now, LA, San Francisco, and many of those places used to be black villages by black Spaniards. They won't tell you that. And later, the government turned it into a portal for the paranormal. Now, Los Angeles and San Francisco are still paranormal portals till this day. They still are. And well, when you go to Mexico and Central America, around here, they had their portals even before colonization. In Guatemala, here, still have black magic villages. So you have places where there's a lot of hauntings going on. Going to Colombia and South America at the places. But another place is also haunted the most. The place that's the most haunted from all the Americas is Brazil. From all the Western Hemisphere. Now, why is Brazil so heavily haunted? Is because of the genocide that's been conducted on both a lot of the natives, a lot of the black slaves that were imported. And those genocides continued covertly all the way till the 20th century. Also, Argentina had a lot of those genocides. So that's also attracted a lot of wandering spirits over there. And because Brazil is quite big, the wandering spirits have a lot of space just wander around here and there. So is it clear to you now how most of the Western Hemisphere became haunted with wandering spirits? They couldn't just claim an area to wander in. They had to be energized by the human species. And colonial trauma and also post colonial trauma contributed to much of the West Hemisphere being haunted. Yes, you have pagans assigning areas to those wandering spirits. Is this clear to you? Let me know in the live chat. Let me know. So, hold on. Now, what about Asia? Asia has a lot of wandering spirits, but they've had wandering spirits since forever almost. Asia has Asia's quite haunted, especially this area over here has the most hauntings. Now, all of Asia is haunted, but this area over here is especially haunted because in ancient times, the Chinese dynasties had the tendency to commit acts of cruelty on the population out of the blue. This was a method to make sure the public remained submissive. So the Chinese dynasties used to put baby spells on their populations on a regular basis, and other Asian uh, elites also took over this attitude. That's why you have generations of people that are haunted by diseases or by other psychological issues because that has been part of the Asian cultures. So I just want you to understand one experience, you have them everywhere, but they don't dare to go everywhere. Let me tell you one thing. Roaming around is in Ethiopia. Ethiopia has a very hard, it's a very rough territory for wandering spirits. Why? Because the believers down there are quite firm and persistent. Another place where wandering spirits have a hard time to go to is the area of Nigeria over here. And there are also some Christian areas in North America, some towns here and there, And also in Europe, there's some minor places here and there that are quite overwhelmingly Christian, where wandering spirits don't even dare to set foot. Hold on. Can you all hear me? I'm about to stop the screen sharing now because I think it messes up the audio a little bit. So wandering spirits, they need human beings to energize them, and they will roam around areas where they are assigned to. So understand this. Wandering spirits are not dangerous by themselves. The reason they actually become a danger is because human beings enable them to be a danger. For example, that entity around the Great Lakes, Wendigo, some call it indigo, but it's really Wendigo. This entity should have been arrested a long time ago by the believers that are living in Canada and the United States. But instead, the public makes folklore about it. The public makes movies about them. The public glorifies them, and this powers them even more. And what does Wendigo do? It keeps on killing and harassing here and there. Believers should have put fire on his ass centuries ago. Okay, that's how we do it. So if you are living around the Great Lakes area, come with some believers together and command fire to consume Wendigo and his colleagues that are roaming around there. Keep doing that regularly, and you'll notice a lot of the disappearances will stop because there are a lot of people disappearing in that area. Let me tell you this: a lot of people disappear in those areas, and it's not other human beings that kidnap them. It's wandering spirits, but it can only do that because the public keeps energizing them. The East Coast also has wandering spirits at the shores. For example, the Blair Witch Project was based on an actual haunting at the East Coast. Okay, and the Bahamas area, where you have the Bermuda Triangle, is also has a lot of wandering spirits because of all the slaves were all the blacks were drowning there regularly. Yes, they had the tendency to drown blacks on purpose there as a tribute to Neptune. To worship Neptune, that fallen angel, they would drown blacks. So they've kidnapped from Africa on a regular basis over there. That's why the so-called Bermuda Triangle is so haunted. And wandering spirits now have the capacity to cause ships to sink, airplanes to crash, all type of weird things are happening over there. And those wandering spirits were enabled in the colonial era by the colonial powers, and after that they're enabled by the pagans in that area, including some black pagans from the Bahamas. Let's keep it real. So, what do you do about it? If a few believers, well, if a bunch of believers, some groups of believers would travel to the Bahamas, and they would go on ships, decreeing and declaring and praising the Lord over there, you realize very quickly that there's no Bermuda Triangle anymore. It would all shut down. But are believers doing this? No, they're not. What I'm putting out there is that wandering spirits shouldn't even be a thing on the earth, but they are a thing because believers are unaware of their presence, or they're told that, oh, those are just fairy tales ancients made up. No, 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 that's not the case. All right. Now, the chupacabra, which is known in the Spanish community around Mexico, that area, the chupacabra is another fallen angel. It's not a vampire goat that's sucking the blood of cows. The chupacabra is a fallen angel wandering spirit. Is another famous one. Now, in Europe, you had the Krampus entities. The Krampus entities, or Krampi, also called in Latin. Okay, let me see if I can show it to you on Google very quickly. Please don't be shocked because the Krampus, they're quite ugly. Okay. Hold on, please. You see a lot of weird things when you type in Krampus, but that's how it's going to be. I'm going to share the screen with you again. Again, can you see the shared screen? Let me know in the live chat, please. All right. Can you all see the screen? Okay. Now let's look at this image over here. The Krampus are also fallen angelic beings, but they remember they were messing around with animals and all of that. So when they became to form, some even began to look like animals. Now these are just human beings who are dressed like Krampus entities. But just so you know, the Krampus entities, they became deformed and even look like weird animals now. This is not how they looked when they were still in heaven. Okay? The Krampus entity, they and ancient Europeans began to contact them and worship them. And the Krampus entities used to be associated with Baal-Ammon. Baal-Ammon was also called Father Time, and that's where we get Sinterklaas from, which in America became Santa Claus. Santa Claus or Sinterklaas is derived from Baal-Ammon, uh, a chief fallen angel. All right. So these wandering spirits, the Krampus, similar to the Wendigo, they used to hunt and stalk people, especially children. The stupid thing was the pagans back then put up with it and began to pay tribute to be left alone. It's when believers came there, the believers began to shut them down. But then the pagans made a celebration on how to celebrate the Krampus. And in the Netherlands, instead of the Krampus, they put the image of the black Swiss guard. Yes, you had black people as Swiss guards protecting the Pope. They put so Black Peter or Zwarte Piet is based on the Black Knights that served the Pope. They did that so that the crown was wouldn't be that visible. Yes, this wandering spirit used to do things like this with children, haunting people. And a lot of people got along with it, unfortunately. So, those are some of the European, quote unquote, European wandering spirits. What I want to put out to you is that these beings have no right to wander around the earth. They don't. They don't have any rights down here. So if they wander around in an area, a believer can kick them out anytime and they have nothing to protest about it. Unfortunately, you'll have pagans fighting you, saying that those fallen entities have rights too. We need to respect and honor those entities too. Sometimes pagans can be quite annoying and irritating in their attitudes. They should agree with us and serve Christ and shut down those entities. No, pagans say no. If we show love to those entities, it is going to be harmonious for us. My God, a lot of those pagans, y'all, they're delusional. Simple as that. So the gnomes also, the gnomes also called um, those those little tiny guys. I'm going to look them up for you very quickly. Yes, these are also fallen angels. These are because not all angelic beings are tall. These are what we call tragedy spirits, spirits of violence. And here they made a little monument with one with a gun, here with one with the angry face to go away because gnomes are violent, sad entities. They are also called tragedy spirits, and they're specialized in triggering and maintaining tragedy. So they're not those cute entities you see in cartoons. They are horrible entities. That's what they are. And but here's the thing: the gnomes tend to wander around in groups. Most wandering spirits wander around as individuals, won't be left alone, but the gnomes tend to wander around in groups. And you can often see them around highways. You can see them around highways often. And from time to time, they cause accidents to happen. Now, some people put statues of those gnomes in their backyard as protection. So they put statues of these entities, hoping that the real entities will come and protect their property from being robbed. And sometimes it works, but there are times those entities are the exact reason why they get robbed. Because those entities they feed off of tragedy. So why would they protect you from tragedy if they feed off of it? Make them look so cute, and but they're not. These creatures are horrible, and not all of them look so cute. A lot of them look cute anyway. Those tragedy spirits they tend to put psychic shields in front of your eyes that you can't see certain things. That's how they make things disappear. For example, you can leave your car key on your table, and for some reason, you can't see your car keys anymore. You look for them everywhere. After 2 days of searching, you finally find your car key at the same location you left them 3 days ago. What happened? The trashy spirits cast a psychic shield in front of your eyes that you didn't see it. Some people lose money, they lose their bank card or passport out of the blue. It's misfortune, it's trashy spirits doing it. Now, there's another type of this entity skinwalker. I want all this fear of evil spirits to be out of you. So that's why I'm informing you and educating you. Now, a lot of these so-called pictures on the internet also fake because some people think it's funny to imitate evil spirits. No, it's not funny at all. There's no funny. Oh, and by the way, this is um, how the Wendigo kind of is supposed to look like right now. Remember, a lot of those wandering spirits, they did horrible things with animals, rape, and all that things in a metaphysical state. So they messed up themselves. When they deformed, they began to look like animals, some of them. Some of them became completely deformed. But anyway, this is kind of how Wendigo looks like right now. Completely deformed. Now, I'm not going to talk about this creature over here, but these are called skinwalkers. Skinwalkers are a type of wandering spirit that they actually harass people. They stalk them, they go after them, they make you hear voices. Have you ever heard people who have schizophrenia or people who are falling apart, mainly saying they keep hearing voices haunting them? Those are skinwalkers. Skinwalkers are the fallen type of fallen angels that are not happy that human beings have all these opportunities. So they want to withdraw from human happiness. That's what they want to do. So, if you have a child who claims to have an imaginary friend, there's no such thing as an imaginary friend. That is a wandering spirit talking to your child. And sometimes I get angry at parents for being so dumb. No child has the mental capacity to make up a creature that doesn't exist. Okay? Children don't, little children, little children below age 5, they don't have the capacity to make up a creature that doesn't exist and fake a relationship with a creature. They cannot. Even adults have a hard time doing something like that, let alone a child. If your child is so-called talk to imaginary friend, it's not imaginary. There's an actual demon communicating with with your child. Kick that demon out. But please, I don't want any of you to be afraid of evil spirits. They're losers, absolute losers. Oh, and by the way, when I was in South Korea, there were wandering spirits roaming around, but they were not very tall ones. And there were not that many either, because Korea has a lot of firm believers managing the country behind the scenes. So I'm happy with them. There's a lot wrong in Korea still, absolutely. But despite all that's wrong in Korea, when it comes to human rights, you still have a lot of firm Korean Christians or Korean believers doing what they're supposed to do. All right, so that's I'm happy about Korea for that. In Japan, you have far more wandering spirits because Japan even uh, gives credit to those entities, something they shouldn't do. But in Japan, they even give tribute in public to those entities by building statues for them. My lord, they're out of their mind. So, what I want to point out to you is that you shouldn't go online trying to find the real images of those creatures because they're not worthy to be seen. Okay? I'm only showing you these things for educational purposes. They are fallen angels kicked out of heaven by their own fault. They got their ass whooped by the holy brothers, the holy angelic beings, and now they're tired of serving as legionaries, and now they wanna be left alone. Oh, but if they encounter one another, they begin to fight. Yes, they begin to fight when they encounter one another because remember, they don't get along. They don't get along at all. Yes, I want to say this too. And by the way, sometimes in the Netherlands, in the big cities, I can see wandering spirits roaming around too. I'm not impressed at all when I notice them, but here's the issue. A lot of people don't recognize when a wandering spirit is around. I grew up, let me say, when from age 8 till age, I believe, 16, I lived in Rotterdam in a neighborhood called Lombardije, named after the Italian kingdom Lombardia. Okay? In Lombardije, there were many wandering spirits roaming around. Sometimes you could walk during the day and you would see a guy standing there. Okay? Let's say it's 8 in the morning, you're on your way to work and you see a guy standing there. You come back later, 6 p.m. You just went to the supermarket to get your groceries. That same guy standing there in the same position didn't even move on a centimeter. And nobody sees the guy standing there. Only a few people see him. That's a wandering spirit. He's not even disguised. You can see how ugly he is. He just stands there. Or sometimes you would see someone walking around in the same routine over and over again. For example, you can be in school and see someone walking by. The individual walks back again. Then they walk back again, again, again. You think, why is this individual walking back and forth like this? Yes, it happened in Lombardia too. One time, we even caught the demons fighting each other. Whether it was with weapons, I don't know. They were screaming and shouting in the streets. Yes, if you are spiritually open, that you can hear and see the spirit world, you could also hear those things. Because where I lived in Lombardy was close to kind of a crossroad, and demons love to bitch and fight on crossroads because it honors Apollo. So one time there were demons actually there were actually wandering spirits in a fight with one another, and we could hear them. So I remember it was a relative with us who wanted to go outside to try to stop the fighting, and we told them, "Don't go outside. Those are not the human beings fighting over there." He stayed inside, thankfully. So that is why I tell believers all the time such things exist, but don't forget that the earth is built for the human beings who are multidimensional, and those creatures, wandering spirits, are interdimensional but in a weakened state because of their fall. So the human being is more terrifying in when they serve God than they are in their stupid state. Justin, I'm glad you don't want anything to do with ghosts and that stuff. I'm glad you don't. Praise God you don't. Some people think those things are interesting. I'm telling you, they're not. And even in the Netherlands, there are young people that want to use a Ouija board and to try to contact such entities. If you're watching this live stream and you talked about using a Ouija board to contact such Christian, it's cool. Please don't. Why aren't you serving the Heavenly Father? You get all the excitement you need. Why do you go to wandering spirits to get some thrill? Are you kidding me? By the way, who raised you? Because your parents deserve a slap in the face too for not educating you properly. Someone asked, is it possible that nasty demons can be placed by the enemy in a community to keep the people in check? Well, not really. If you mean keeping in check means keeping people in fear, yes, that's what they're willing to do. But sometimes they come to divert conflict because if everyone begins to fight each other as human beings, it's going to expose paranormal. So sometimes demons are sent to ease tension also just so that everyone remains in darkness. But understand this. As a believer in Christ, all that wandering situation is nothing to you. And if you are in an area where there's a lot of contention built up by ritual victimization, guess what? You have the resurrection power of Christ. Call upon other believers, decree and declare, energize the environment with positivity, and it's over. Simple as that. There's no need to be afraid, no need to run, no do any of those things. Just shut that thing down. Can believers come against every entity of every rank? Rank? And how do we come against such those spirits effectively? Okay, there are two questions. Another question is, I mean, it's possible that demons morph into humans and live like humans in the community. That last thing, it can happen, but today with social media, it's quite difficult. It was the 18th century, such it could happen more easily. You would have an empty house over there, nobody lives there, but you have wandering spirits entering in and out as if they're human beings. But today, with social media and all those people taking pictures all the time, that's not very likely to happen, unless you're some rural village somewhere in the Midwest of the United States. And listen, I don't care whether it's Satan himself or some stupid Nephilim roaming around, they're all subjected to the believer. Okay? Don't think, oh, this is a big demon, that's a small demon. Big demon, small demon, scary demon, stupid demon. I don't care. Uh, you're illegal here. You're illegally on the earth, demon. Get out of my face. Christ is my name. Get out, get out, get out. Now in Christ's mighty name. That's why I do it. I don't get afraid. I don't get angry. I just think, get out of it. Get out of my sight now in Christ's mighty name. No, 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 no. That's what I do it. Can narcissists hold wandering spirits? Yes. Narcissists operate as wandering spirits. That's why they go from relationship to relationship. That's why they're so clingy and controlling for other people. Because narcissists operate as wandering spirits, even though they're human. So narcissists are the human version of wandering spirits. The difference is wandering spirits tend to roam around by their own, but human narcissists can't do that, so they roam around by clinging onto people. So please unlearn this fear and this fright of the paranormal because they're not worthy of it. And by the way, when you have fear or fright in you, your body generates certain stress chemicals that weakens your immune system. So don't do that. Okay, Tammy asks, what do you want to prove if you can see them as human? Okay, let me say it very simply, Tammy, and for everyone else of you. These wandering spirits, they want sympathy. They want you to feel sorry for them for being kicked out of heaven. They want you to feel sorry for them that they have to put up with all those other demons. They want you to have pity on them. They want you to show interest in them and feel sorry for them and to energize them with empathy. That's really what they want. And I'm being clear to you. I can walk through um, any city seeing gangs of evil spirits roaming around. I keep walking, doing my thing, go to the supermarket, go to the cinema, do what I have to do. I don't even pay attention. I don't. I'm not bothered. I'm not affected. A lot of you, your spiritual eye and ear is not open, so you can't see nor hear that level. Be glad you don't. But if you do, if there are holy angelic beings around, they only show themselves to encourage you, and they do the thing and don't bother you. If it's one of those wandering spirits, they want a pity party. They want a pity party. And in ancient times, even till this day, there are pagans feeling sorry for them and helping them out at expense of their own human beings. Hey, I always told you pagans are quite practical in life, but also pagans were quite out of their mind also. So the next thing I'm going to say to females over here, ladies, I'm talking to the female believers right here. In public, do not be too vulnerable to just anyone out there. Because let me explain what I mean with that. Wandering spirits hate females. Remember, all evil spirits hate females. They really they're they have to they feel like they have to vomit when they see females. They really can't stand females. But you know, females are an asset they can use to drain the human species. So sometimes those wandering spirits, they will walk by you, say hi to you, and you don't notice it's a wandering spirit. Just to get you to think, who was this guy that just said hi to me or whatever? Now you focus on this guy who's not even a guy, not even a human. It's just some wandering spirit, and before you know it, your whole day's messed up, and you end up losing your mind. So, ladies, if you want sympathy, pray to the Heavenly Father so you have people around you that can give you healthy sympathy. Don't be out there looking for sympathy, ladies. Please don't. Okay, please don't say nonsense in the live chat, please. I thought I was wandering spirit. Come on, stop that crap. Okay, there are human beings on this channel in the live chat. So on us, can they be in items or clothes? No, no, can be, but that's not likely. Now let me tell people say beware secondhand clothes. Secondhand clothes, if you wash them, you can use them, no problem. Same with secondhand items. But here's the thing: if a place where you get secondhand items from has a lot of emotional pollution, then you have to cleanse the secondhand items before you use them. You can buy a secondhand bicycle if you want. Cleanse the bicycle first with prayer and decrees before you use it. If you get secondhand clothes, secondhand items, and you don't cleanse them first before you use them, you can get in trouble. So us, can you have smells? Well, let me say it like this: wandering spirits, they tend to trigger the electric tension of the Earth's atmosphere. They can play with the electric tension of the Earth's atmosphere, and by doing that, they can make themselves visible to you. But what the side effect is that this tricking of the electricity in the Earth's atmosphere also generated a scent, a smell, a burning sensation, a burning smell. So sometimes you will walk near a place and you will smell like something is burning. It may even smell like burning meat or whatever. And you look around you, there's nothing there. But there's a wandering spirit who just tried to make himself visible. Wandering spirits are not a threat to believers at all. The only reason I'm talking about this because a lot of you were not well informed. Now you're informed now. Wandering spirits shouldn't even be on your mind. If you encounter one, they should flee from you. If there's a gang of them around, command them to disappear in Christ's mighty name, kick them out, and keep living life. That's how we do it. If the pagans want to feel sorry for them and give them territories that's not theirs to give, or make it easy for them to kill some human beings, then that's what the pagans do. And at some point, we need to deal with those pagans too, to put the precautions on them because they endanger everyone around here. You get me? Satan is not in charge of anything. He can't even lead the paranormal. He's hiding some mansion in Britain. So demons have no leadership over them. They're fighting all the time, obsessed with weapons. They're filled with diseases. So they're not running anything, but they are draining us. But we have to stop allowing them to drain us. If the pagans want to keep selling out their own human beings, then we need to put the precautions on those pagans too. As simple as that. Apart from all of this, we just insist in living life in abundance on the earth. And the abundance we live does not include fallen angels roaming around seeking sympathy. Okay, what do you mean with lingering pollution? Look, when there is ritual trauma that went on, whether it's ritual sex, ritual child molestation, or a war or whatever, that energetic pollution that lingers over there, it can stay there for decades. If believers don't come with the fire of the Holy Spirit and burn away the pollution, that pollution can linger around there. So 70, 80, 90 years later, you visit that building and you feel get chills when you enter the building. 90 years ago, there were many people sexually molested in that building. It happened 90 years ago. You weren't even born yet, but now 90 years later, you enter the building and you get chills because the pollution is still lingering around. It's stuck into the walls of the building. Believers have to burn it all out with fasting, praying, and also singing praise and all of that. You can do an actual uh, meeting of believers in such a place and cleanse it. Someone asked, what about a situation like this when we believers go to a new place that at least one person behaves crazy and malfunctions? That means that the individual has open doors that need to be closed. The individual, if they're an unbeliever, you may need to exorcise the demon, kick the demon out of them. And once the demon's out of them, they need to go into therapy. They need to be dealt with. Simple as that. Mhm. So listen, I'm glad Fierce Patience mentions this. Before you move into a new building, whether it's a new house you've purchased or a new place you're renting, do an energetic inquiry to figure out what goes on over there. And after your energetic inquiry, send peace into that place and command that place to overflow with peace and abundance for you. Enforce the good and trigger good outcomes for you before you get the keys from the landlord and move into that place. Also command all the neighbors in Christ Jesus' mighty name to work in your favor. You can do it like this. All the neighbors in this area work in my favor, walk in my favor. Right now in Christ Jesus' mighty name. No, 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 no. Command it in Christ Jesus' mighty name. Do what you have to do energetically before you go and move there. By doing that, you're already taking charge of the situation. Fierce patience, I'm glad you learned from it. You're an advanced believer now. If you're about to go on a holiday, let's say you're about to catch an airplane to go to, let's say, Spain or to Dubai or Japan or wherever, send peace ahead into the aircraft. You can do it quietly. Command peace in that aircraft and command that aircraft to operate in your favor. You can even pray and ask for a holy angelic guard to accompany the airplane. We need to learn to do these things, believers. Do you understand me? No wandering spirit should be any threat to anyone. I don't want to hear any of you saying that the wandering spirit is bothering you. No, the wandering spirit should be bothered by you being around. It should be the other way around. They should be terrified of you, not the other way around. All right? So do not ever, ever walk on eggshells because of some wandering loser that goes around. Don't even pay attention to them, and they're not even worthy of your attention or your focus. Keep your focus on Christ. If you still are, if you still feel frightened about the paranormal, keep keep meditating on the Word of God. Realize how powerful you are, and before you know it, you won't even think that those guys are any match to you. Simple as that. And one thing I tend to do also, if I feel this demonic contention in an area, I will send confusion in it amongst the demons. So they turn on one another. They turn against each other easily. So I send confusion amongst them, cause them to be at war with one another, so that they won't be able to hunt the area. Simple as that. I do that often. All right. So is it clear to you now what wandering spirits are, what they are not, and how pathetic and how um, irrelevant they truly are? Do you understand how irrelevant those wandering spirits are? Let me know in the live chat. Let me know. They're not relevant whatsoever. If the world wants to make them relevant, let the world do it. What can you do about that? Oh, Fierce Page, thank you very much for your super sticker. Very much appreciated. So, lingering pollution, we as believers, we can burn it away. With our um with our how to say with our intense energy fields, we can do that. Yes, wandering spirits are hired by society to do the dirty work indeed. But the thing is, we can burn away lingering pollution, and we can easily kick out or push away those wandering spirits. Simple as that. So I don't understand why there's so many believers out there who are horrified and uncomfortable about this topic and thinking, what? Okay, that's why I keep making these live streams. Now, I'm not sure if I'm going to make another live stream about wandering spirits. It's not necessary. I've explained what they are, what you can do about it, and how superior you are. So I expect you to also walk in this knowledge right now. All right? And if wandering spirits are quite active in the area, that means that the public is endorsing them. If the public was not endorsing them, then they wouldn't be able to be active like that. All right? Look, I don't talk about those entities just to talk about them as if they're anything important. I talk about them because this is a subject that believers will face, and I want believers to face this topic with confidence and with peace. All right? That's why we do it. That is how we do it. All right? Okay, let me see if there are any other questions over here. If there are no questions, I will shut down the live. Well, let me see if I see any other questions. Mhm. I'm not sure if on Twitter there's anyone with a question. No, I think not. I want the listen. Right now, you have many urban legends how wandering spirits scared people off or even killed certain people. I want there to be stories out there how believers shut down wandering spirits and the pagans that sponsor them. I want more such stories to be out there. So please make such stories possible by burning away, lingering pollution, and kicking out wandering spirits. As simple as that. How can we know that we have influence? You do have influence anyway as a believer. You do. If you doubt that you have influence, it means you're operating in doubt and you need deliverance from that. We have influence. We just have to keep using our leverage as God intended for us to do. All right. So n- from now on, I want to hear stories of how you kicked out wandering spirits, how you burnt away lingering pollution. Uh, Team, why do you even answer the questions? Urban legends are true, but not true in a literal sense. They're true in a symbolic way. There's always some type of paranormal activity they're referring to. Were there any church rituals devoted to wandering spirits? Well, the Catholic Church has a lot of them. How do you get to know these things? Already answered that. Not only research, these things happen around. If you grow up knowing about the paranormal, you notice these things. A lot of people ask, how do you know those things? Because a lot of people were indoctrinated by the secular school system to only look at the physical body. They think there's nothing beyond the physical body. Even though your human senses tell you there's more than the physical body, they were taught in school that you only had the physical body. And a lot of people get along with that. And when later find out, oh crap, there's more than the physical body, and realize there are people who have knowledge of what's beyond the physical body, they think, how can you know that? Well, that question should even exist. That question only exists because you've been indoctrinated by society to only look at the physical realm and pretend like there's nothing beyond it. And the devil worshippers want you to think like that so that you remain trapped in what they're doing to you. Because the more knowledge you have about the spirit realm, the more you realize actually that those demons don't even they're not even all that. They're not even relevant. In the Catholic Church, you have methods to cope with wandering spirits. Because in the Catholic Church, you have warlocks who are running uh, the paranormal jurisdictions. That's what goes on in the Catholic Church. But the Catholic Church does not deliver you from those wandering spirits. Believers who actually walk in a Christ-centered way can kick them out and bring deliverance to an area. So we as believers, we need to learn to kick out wandering spirits because wandering spirits are also the entities that keep a lot of crime and a lot of misfortune in certain areas. You can go to a place, let's say in France, where there's a lot of miscarriages amongst the women, kick out the wandering spirits, and suddenly the women give birth to a lot of babies. Or you can go to another area, let's say in a neighborhood in The Hague, where there's a lot of prostitution. You kick out the wandering spirits, and before you know it, all prostitution disappears. Wandering spirits keep a lot of pollution there. They're agents of society. But hey, we're in society, we're not of it. So do what you have to do as a believer, in full confidence and joy. Well, that's it for now. I'm glad you're all here. Keep on agreeing with Christ, be at peace, and I'll see you next time.